All right, let's get into our featured band tonight. Thank you, Mr. Chuck, once again for coming up with a very interesting band. And this one's called Eclipse. They're from Salem. Eclipse was formed as a quartet in 1973 and became a trio from 75 to 79, which featured Brian Berg, guitar and vocalist, Ralph Hansen, bass guitar and vocals, and Tom Sewing, drums and background vocals. The band were in their late teens and early 20s. Like millions of rocker kids, they were inspired by the energy of Kiss. And their sheer energy bursts out of the speakers. Their name, face paint, and platform booted costumes were outer spaced themed. And their music followed the lean, mean, macho battle cry of the Kiss Army. The recordings showed they weren't just a clone.
Amen.
Yeah, we listened to it, and I tell you what, they were rocking for sure.
They got the blue gumball, but
they had the talent to land a record deal if they had the chance. Their live shows mixed originals with covers, including Kiss, Queen, Rush, along with Alice Cooper. Even their skeptics, their performances were undeniably very impressive.
Well, and Don, you and I have listened to the intros to all 4 songs that we're going to play tonight, and they sound great. 3 guys, lead guitar, bass guitar, and drums, all 3 on vocals.
Oh.
And we had this guy, Brian Berg, that was apparently a really well-respected songwriter. And so that gave them, an extra edge.
I was going to say, a big plus there on it for sure.
As we like to say on this show, damn it, they got the blue gumball. And there are some other groups that got the red gumball and went nationwide. They, to my pea-sized brain, they're every bit as good as Kiss.
Well, this is a question.
Guns N' Roses, whatever.
This is a question I always like to ask, and what happened? Why didn't they continue on, and what in the history and stuff?
Well, again, we'll get into that. As many of the bands we featured on these shows, with music researched from the archives, sometimes Garland Records, sometimes other record companies, by Chuck. Thank you, Chuck. A lot of these band members, when you're 19, and it's only 6 years later, you're at 25. You remember that, Don?
Oh, right.
I mean, it was light years of difference sometimes.
College.
For the Rolling Stones?
Girls.
They're
military. Yeah, I get it.
I mean, they still think the same and, whatever, party the same 50 years later. But for a lot of people, things change when you get into your mid-20s, so. And it did. But in February of 1976, they recorded 4 songs at Gary Nyland's basement recording studio in Salem. However, none of these tracks were officially released. But you can hear them now because 45 years later in 2021, Sun Dazed Records, out of Nashville, not the first time we've heard of them.
Nope, not at all.
4 Garland Studio Records on a compilation album entitled Pacific Northwest Pandora's Box. As the band grew up, sure, their musical taste, different aspirations, they wanted to do different things where their lives evolved, and they disbanded around 1979, but they had some pretty good years together. Brian Berg, Tom Sewing went on to form a new wave band, kind of post-punk, called the Dryers. Later on, Brian Berg formed an obscure but underrated band, 44 Long, in the late 1990s. He passed away in 2015, is remembered as a great songwriter and musician with a rare emotive talent. So we are going to hear, get ready to rock, folks. We're going to hear Backstreet Queen, written by Brian Berg and Ralph Hansen. Slave Driver, written by Brian Berg. Gotta Get Moving, written by Brian Berg. And Gonna See There's a Change.
This is going to be kicking, folks. I tell you what.
Yeah, it is.
Stand by.
92.7, 92.1 presents Eclipse.
Backstreet
you go. The band Eclipse from Salem.
Like it, Don.
Oh, yes, absolutely. You talk about some great hard rock and roll.
And again, they were in their late teens,
Early
ladies
20s.
and gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
Early 20s. In the mid 70s.
Yep.
And so that means as old and crotchety as Don and I are, they were just a few years older than Don and a few years younger than I.
Yeah, a quartet in 73, a
Yep.
trio 75 to 79.
And again, we lost Brian Berg in 2015. What a great songwriter. What was your favorite, Don, of the four? Or do you have one? You're all four really good.
It's tough. It's tough to pick because I liked them all.
Yep.
You know, and Brian Berg was involved in all of them.
Yep.
And it showed his talent all the way through.
And again, three guys.
Yeah.
Lead guitar, bass guitar, and drums.
I gotta
All three on
say,
vocals.
I lean towards Backstreet Queen.
The first one, yes,
Yeah.
I thought that was good. I really did. And I was ready to say that was my favorite. Maybe Slave Driver, the second one. The reason I say that is because Slave Driver reminds me of another song. It isn't a ripoff. It reminds me of another song. And it's got that staccato kind of thing going for it and remarkable lead guitar work.
But you couldn't figure out exactly what it reminded you of. You kind of
And
racked your brain
I
for
couldn't.
during the whole thing.
But it was a really great hard rock motif. And also, folks, I don't know how many bands in that time period in Iowa, Texas, I don't care. We're three guys, high school kids or whatever. And it was what they called dismissively 3-chord rock and roll. Like anyone could do it. No, anyone couldn't do it.
No, you got to make it sound right.
You put that lead guitar, you fellow, Brian Berg, I would put him up against, maybe not anybody, but up against most mainstream hard rockers in the mid-70s. He was great.
Yeah, he was
really great.
All of them were kicking songs. I liked them all.
Three guys.
But I lean to Backstreet Queen. Your Slave Driver was
Also good.
Also good.
That's my favorite, Don's Backstreet Queen.
Second choice would have been Slave Driver for sure, but they all sounded good. Remember, tomorrow night we'll have a replay at 7 o'clock. If Mr. Chuck has to go to work now to get this stuff all put together for us. So, if he has internet issues, and sometimes he does, he says, with loading the videos and so on.
And Chuck does great research, and you don't know, I don't know, where he comes up with all the photos and videos.
He sent us several fantastic photos
wonderful
and
stuff. So anyway, folks, that will be on YouTube. You can hear it here. You can see it with all the photos. Just go to YouTube, and then in the YouTube search bar, not Google or DuckDuckGo or Bing or whatever you use, the YouTube search bar, you type Sweet Home Radio and the word feature.
Yes, you got to include that feature.
Got to include the word feature, because otherwise you're going to get some of them, but not all of them, and you'll get everything we've done. Chuck always labels them Sweet Home Radio. That's us. Internet radio station, Sweet Home Radio. Feature on whatever, the Rolling Stones or, whatever it is. Sweet Home Radio, and then feature. You'll be able to see it whenever you want.
Yeah, 92.7, 92.1. Once again, thank you, Mr. Chuck. Appreciate it all. And remember, 7 o'clock tomorrow night, replay of tonight's program. And we're going to get right back into some more great music for you. And if you got a request or something...